So, common problem, right? Fence post breaks off flush with the ground. And how do you get that out without digging a great big hole all the way around the outside of the fence post? Well, let me show you a little trick that I learned. So you're not going to get away with doing no digging, but you certainly don't want to have to dig a hole that big, 2 feet deep, in order to set the new post. So I'm going to see if I can get some of this rotten wood off the top, because the idea is you want to get down to some part of the core of the post that is in good enough shape to screw and drill into. So I'm just taking a hammer and chipping off the rotten wood on the top, because I just want to get down to a solid core. And the reason we want to get down to a solid core is we're going to insert this into the top of the fence post, and then we're going to use force and try to pull the post out of the ground vertically. So this is a 3-inch lag eye screw with a ring on it, and I'll show you that procedure. So I'm going to drill a small pilot hole right in the center of this stump, and then screw that in all the way down, get it nice and tight, and then we'll have our first attempt at levering this out vertically. Now, this isn't a perfect procedure, and it may not work in every situation. As you can see here, this post is rotten all the way down, but I did manage to finally find a good piece of wood, and I'm just gonna get that eyelet screwed all the way down as far as I can into that good wood, and then we'll put a pole on it and see if we can get that out, and I'll show you that next. Okay, so I got it screwed down as far as I can. You want to have it all the way in, because the last thing you want is for that to pull out, and then your chances of finding good wood to screw into reduce with every attempt. So now we're going to put a metal pole through this D-ring and try to lever it up straight up out of the ground, if we can. Okay, so what I have here is a piece of pipe. It might look like electrical conduit, but it's not. This is actually a leftover piece of tube from my garage install. So this is the rod that goes across that the garage door spring goes on. But anyway, the other thing you're going to need to do is get some concrete or 2x4s or something to give you something to lever against. And I'm trying to do this one-handed, and you'll just have to figure it out. Play around with it. But what I'm hoping to show you on here is that is beginning to move. So with a little bit of finagling, I should be able to continue to increase the height of this and bring that piece out of the ground. So like I said, you're going to have an assortment of blocks or pieces of wood or whatever, because this, as this begins to come out, this geometry constantly changes, but I think I can get it to where you can see now. It is coming straight up out, so constant adjustment, adding blocks here, changing the lever pivot point from before and after, just playing around with it. But you will eventually get this post pulled straight up out of the ground. If you're just replacing a fence post, then if you can pull this out, now this, quick disclaimer, this only works if you're in sandy soil and your posts are not set in cement. There are other videos on YouTube about how to deal with that. This is for if you're in sandy soil and your posts are just set straight into the sand. So the goal is you can pull this right out of the ground and you will be left with an almost perfectly square hole exactly in the same spot where the other post was. If you dig this all out and excavate it, then you end up with a massive hole, and then you've got to go try to figure out, and it's not hard, it's just why take the extra steps when if you have a little bit of patience you can just pull the post right out of the hole and leave the exact footprint behind. So I'm maneuvering the blocks around, playing with it, and we'll get this out. Now the last time I did this, because I replaced all of my fence a couple of years ago, my son was here at the house and he had a Jeep with a winch on the front bumper, and we were able to drive the Jeep right up to the post, hook this up, put the winch on it, and pull those suckers right out of the ground with a winch. So if you have that, then that's golden. And if you have another way of bringing mechanical force straight up out of the ground, go ahead and use that. I'm here by myself today and I'm using what I have at my disposal. So let's get this one out and I'll show you the result. Getting there. Slowly but surely it's coming up. As you can see, I'm stacking concrete blocks. Of course my ring failed, so I have to go and put that on the vise and try to close that up. And maybe we'll have to go to a different option for that, but anyway, we're getting there. Moment of truth. And that is the goal. So I'll show you what the next step is, but got that sucker out. Only have 3 more to go. Yay. Okay, so post goes nicely right back in the existing hole, but here's the problem. That's not a good angle if you can see, but this post here is significantly lower. Right, so what I've got to do is I've got to get this post set further down. So that's the next challenge. So the trick for getting the dirt out of that hole is shot back. So this part's optional, but if you cut a piece of PVC, play around, find a piece that fits the nozzle of whatever shot back you have, cut it off at an angle on the end, right? A couple of feet is plenty, and then you can use this, and I'll show you it, and you can go down the bottom of the hole and you can very carefully just excavate the bottom of the hole until your post is down where you want it to be. Real easy. So I threw a little bit of duct tape on there just so I wouldn't lose the PVC pipe, and then cut a little angle on the end there just so that you can use it as a tool to kind of break up the sand. So the beauty of this system is, see how square that hole is? So not only is the post plumb, but it is also square onto the run of the fence without any adjustments or work. And as this sandy soil just falls down the hole, you just vacuum it out until you get the depth that you need. You're definitely not going to want to use your wife's vacuum cleaner or even a shop vac that you're particularly excited about. So this is an old one that I have that I use for rough jobs just like this. Occasionally you have to clear the PVC pipe, but it does the job. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah. So let's get the post, drop it in, see how close we are. Much better. So even though we are going into the existing hole, and even though it is nice and straight, we've still got to get a level and make sure that it's plumb, and then we're going to tamp and backfill the hole. Just to give you an idea already, this post is pretty solid. So that's the benefit, is the dirt all the way down 2 feet deep is pretty well compacted, and without having to reinvent the wheel, you can get the post set exactly back where it was before. So it's pretty good that way. Pretty good that way. So I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on the post this direction, and fill the hole and tamp it, and that'll lock that post in. But it's pretty much hard up against this side. So yeah, let's backfill it, tamp it, and this one's done. Okay, so I'm just using the handle end of my shovel and just tamping it real solid. I did put a little bit of pressure on the post in this direction and that direction, and then tamped around the back of it, and this post is already pretty solid. So now I'm just going to layer up the dirt, a couple of inches, tamp it down, a couple of inches, tamp it down, and fill that hole flush with the level of the ground, and this one is done. Of course, you're constantly checking the bubble. It's a fence. It is not super critical. Close enough is good enough, and that is good enough. So there it is. It's in the ground and it is rock solid. Perfect. Now I'm not going to get into the debate about whether or not you should set posts in concrete and blah blah blah. Here in Florida, the sandy soil we have, setting them straight into the sand works well. Fence posts are going to rot. There's no getting around it. They rot at the ground whether they're in concrete or not, and even though this fence has a little bit of rot on it, this is the fence that I share with my neighbor behind me, and all of their fence needs to be replaced. So I'm just doing my neighborly duty for about 50 bucks, 4 posts, get this fence fixed until he's ready to negotiate on replacing the whole thing. Alright, I'll check back with you when I'm done. So plan B, the ring failed. I guess if it was a welded ring it would have worked better. So instead I've gone with ratchet strap, and I've put the blocks out of the hole. I'm levering it that way. We also added a breaker bar, just slid it inside. That gives me some more leverage, and this seems to be working even better. So whatever way you got to do it, the goal is just to pull that post straight up. Oh yeah, that is definitely working better. done. That's actually way better. And there is a perfect, beautiful hole. So let me get a new post, set it in and see if we need to vacuum anything out. It's pretty close. Might try just banging it down. If that doesn't work, I'll vacuum out maybe just 1 inch of dirt. I don't know if you can see just how smooth and square that hole is. So all we're going to do is just vacuum out just 1 inch or so out of the bottom and then put the new one back in. So this is the beauty of this system, is I just drop the post in the hole, right, put the level on it. Let's try the other side. So you have to do a little so we're going to pull the post that way a little bit and it'll be good. Okay, just tamped it down. Let's check it again. It's good enough for me. Awesome. So again, like the other one, fill in the layers, tamp it down as we go. Boom, 2 down. More dirt, repeat. And that's what we pulled out of the hole, so use that too. All right.